Scary story. Welcome to the world of scary stories. This is going to be really creepy. So, are you ready? Let's go. Someone sleeps in my bed every night. They pretend to be my little sister. A few days ago I stayed up late at the computer, playing, then went to bed at about 2 a.m. I fell asleep instantly, like a log, and then in the middle of the night, I felt someone lie down next to me. I didn't even really wake up. I just felt the spring of the mattress next to me sag, and I felt warmth behind me. My first thought was, Tanya has come. Tanya is my little sister. She's been afraid of the dark since she was a child, and sometimes when she has a scary dream, she comes to sleep with me. I've gotten used to it. She usually quietly crawls under the covers and curls up. Without opening my eyes, I simply moved over, giving her more room, and passed out again. In the morning, I woke up alone. She usually goes to her room before her parents get up so she doesn't get scolded by her mother for nagging her older brother. So I went into the kitchen for breakfast. Tanya was already sitting at the table, picking at her bowl of porridge. Nightmares again, I asked. Pour yourself some coffee. She looked up at me. What do you mean? Well, you came to see me last night. I smiled. What did you dream about this time? Spiders, my sister frowned, truly sincerely, as only children can. I didn't come. I spent the night at Grandma's last night. We went to the movies together. Didn't I tell you, Mom? I felt the cold in my hand, and then it dawned on me. Right, they were going to see some cartoon, and Grandma lives near the cinema, so Tanya stayed with her, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Oh, right, I forgot, I said, trying to pretend everything was okay, but all day I couldn't shake this strange feeling. If it wasn't my sister, then who was lying next to me? I must have imagined it. That happens. The next night I couldn't fall asleep for a long time, tossing and turning, listening to every rustle in the apartment, the ticking of the living room clock, the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, everything as usual. Gradually, I calmed down and started to fall asleep, and then it happened again. The same sensation, a slight movement of air, the creaking of the mattress, the warmth behind my back. Only this time I wasn't sleeping. I lay with my eyes wide open, clutching the blanket. I don't know how long I lay like that. I was simply petrified with terror. I felt breathing on the back of my head, quiet, even, like a sleeping child. Maybe it was the cat, but our cat Sem always sleeps at the foot of the bed, or on the cross. He hates being covered with a blanket. The scariest thing was that I didn't hear anything. Not footsteps in the hallway, not the creak of the door. It just appeared, emerged out of nowhere right in my bed. I wanted to turn around. I really wanted to, but I couldn't. My body wouldn't obey me. Fear paralyzed every muscle. I lay there until dawn. As soon as the room filled with morning light, the feeling of presence disappeared, just evaporated. I sat up abruptly in bed. There was no one nearby. The indentation in the mattress next to me slowly straightened. That night Tanya was sleeping at home in her room. I said goodnight to her myself. This began to happen every night. I stopped sleeping. I would sit up until 5 hours in the morning with the lights on, drinking energy drinks, watching TV shows. But as soon as I closed my eyes for even a minute, I felt it. It lay next to me and waited. I became like a zombie. I was constantly on edge, flinching at every sound. Mom started asking if I was okay. I said I was studying for exams. I tried everything. I locked the door. It still appeared. I left the nightlight on. It also wasn't afraid of the light. I even slept on the floor, on an air mattress. And you know what? I felt it pop up next to me, as if someone small had sat on it. After that I realized there was no way to hide from it. A week passed. I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I had to look, find out what it was. Otherwise I would just go crazy. That night I pretended to be asleep. I lay down as usual, relaxed my body, and breathed evenly. I waited, and it came. The mattress sank, and I felt the familiar warmth. It settled and became quiet. The breathing was almost inaudible. I counted to 100. Then again, my hands were sweaty. Pull yourself together. Just turn around. I slowly began to turn. My body was wooden. I saw a silhouette lying on the pillow next to me. It looked like my sister. The same short stature, thin shoulders under the blanket. But this silhouette was completely black. I couldn't see a face, couldn't see eyes, just a dark spot in the shape of my sister. And I froze looking at it. My brain refused to believe what I was seeing. This couldn't be happening. This was just a dream, a nightmare. And that silhouette slowly turned its head in my direction. That was the most terrible thing. The dark spot, imitating a face, turned towards me. I couldn't see anything on it, but I felt like it was looking right at me. I turned away abruptly and squeezed my eyes shut so tightly that colored spots swam before my eyes. I pulled the blanket over my head and prayed. I just lay there, waiting for the morning. I could feel it lying motionless next to me, looking at me. The next day I watched my little sister. She was playing with her dolls, laughing, watching cartoons. She was alive, warm. She smelled of strawberry shampoo and cookies, while what had lain next to me that night was cold, Even the warmth I felt was somehow strange. That evening I approached Tanya, while she was drawing in her sketchbook. Tanya, I began as calmly as I could. Have you been having strange dreams lately? She looked up from her drawing and looked at me. No, what? Just like that. Maybe about some girl like you? My little sister thought for a second, and then smiled, and that smile made my blood run cold. Sometimes I dream about another me, she said. The one who lives in your room. She says she's lonely. I didn't ask any more questions, just left her room, and closed the door behind me. It's midnight. I'm sitting at my desk, writing this. I'm waiting. I know it's coming soon. I don't know what it is. A doppelganger. A ghost. Something else. I can hear soft breathing. It's coming. I just wanted someone to know if something happened to me. I feel the cold. It was pouring nearby again. I arrived in Sapporo late in the evening. It had been raining since Tokyo, and the mood matched the weather. Gray and dreary. The business trip had been spontaneous. Check out a property. Talk to the landlord. Prepare a report. A routine assignment. I rented a room in an old business hotel near the station. The building was shabby, with a dim sign and a lobby that smelled of rice. But I didn't care. I just wanted to take a shower and pass out. Good evening one night, I said to the woman on duty at the desk. She looked up and seemed to freeze for a moment. Fifth floor, room 504, she said quietly, as if she wanted to say something else, but changed her mind. I took the keycard and rode the elevator up. The fifth floor greeted me with a dead silence. The light flickered dimly. Room 504 was at the very end of the corridor. All the other doors were closed, but I felt that one room was different from all the others. Room 404. As I passed it, I glanced at the nameplate. It was warped. Scratches on the wood, as if someone had been hitting the door hard with their nails. Strange. I went to my room trying not to think about it. That night, I was woken by a sound. Quiet, but distinct, as if someone was whispering behind the wall. At first I thought it was the neighbor's TV, but I listened more closely. TM repeated itself over and over, paused, like a mantra. I approached the wall. The whispering wasn't coming from the left, where room 505 was, but from the right. But according to the floor plan, room 404 was to the right of mine. I opened the door and looked out into the hallway. The color was the same dull yellow, with a metallic hum. I quietly approached the room. 404. There was no nameplate, just bolts pulled out of the root, but I clearly remembered it was there, and the number was 44. Breathing came from behind the door, just someone's hoarse, deep breathing, like someone with asthma. I froze. The door creaked slowly. It was slightly open. In the darkness, I saw black, motionless eyes. They were looking straight at me. The door slammed with a dull thud. In the morning, I went down to the counter. The woman on duty was different, younger, with her hair impeccably pulled back. Excuse me. Yesterday I heard sounds coming from room 404. Does someone live there? I asked. She sat up abruptly. Excuse me. Room 404 is through the wall from me. There are whispers. Footsteps. Sir, she interrupted. There is no room 404 in our hotel. We closed it 10 years ago after one incident. What happened? The man, an IT specialist, came often. Like you, rented the same room. At some point, he became strange. Did not come out for a long time. And then the neighbors complained about the smell. When they opened the door, his body was sitting in the lotus position. There were no eyes. On the wall was written, I found her. I was shocked. Her. Who? We don't know, she said. The room was closed. The sign was removed. But sometimes it comes back. I worked all day. The facility was an old warehouse. Nothing interesting. But the thought of room 404 wouldn't go away. Returning to my room, I connected to the hotel Wi-Fi. The password was simple. 404. Ghost. Funny. After Googling Sapporo incident, room 404, I came across an old news story. A 36-year-old man was on the hotel's ground floor. Police found evidence, including a mirror graffitied with red paint and a smashed laptop. The user's comment under the story was just 3 days old. It's still there. If you hear her whisper, don't answer. Never answer. A shiver ran down my spine. I woke up again in the night, but this time from the smell. It smelled like something burnt, as if someone had burned paper in the room or hair. I opened my eyes and saw that the bathroom door was open. There stood a woman in a long nightgown, with black hair to the floor. I couldn't see her face. It was covered by strands, but her neck was stretched out, unnaturally long, as if someone had broken it and left it like that for dead. I screamed, turned on the light. No one. I searched the room, closed all the doors, checked the hallway. Room 404 was locked. I couldn't sleep. My heart was pounding. A thought was pulsing in my head. I saw it. I was next. In the morning, I packed my things and went down to reception. I'm leaving. Now, of course. Have a safe trip, the nurse replied. her eyes still on the monitor. Just tell me, did you see anyone last night? A woman perhaps. She looked up. Did you see her too? I froze. It started when we removed the sign from room 404. Everything was fine before, but now she's looking for new ones. If you see her, it means you're already on her list. I didn't answer. I just went outside. The rain was pouring down again. I checked into a new hotel, modern, clean, with security and cameras. But on the first night, I heard a knock on the door, 3 times. I looked through the peephole. No one there. The next morning, there was writing on the bathroom mirror. So I broke it, changed the number, then the city, but she comes every time I'm alone. 404 is not just a number, it's a door. And if you found it, it's already open, and it won't leave you alone. They're still standing there. I look out the window, and they're standing there. But now they're looking at my entrance. I need someone other than me to know that this is real. It all started last night. I work at a bar, so I finish late. I usually get home around 2 o'clock, sometimes closer to 3. Our neighborhood is quiet. After midnight, there's no one on the streets at all, only rare cars, taxis rustling on the asphalt. I love this time, and it has its own atmosphere, an empty city that belongs only to you. My way home is always the same. I get off at my stops and walk for about 10 minutes through the courtyards. The last stretch past a small 24-hour store, in which they have everything from cigarettes and beer, to expired sausage and cat food. It's run by a mustachioed man named Ashot, who knows all the local drunks by name. The store is truly open 24/7. There's a light in the window. It's like a beacon in our neighborhood. But yesterday, something was off. From afar I noticed that only a dim light above the entrance was lit. The main sign, Products 24, was off. Strange. Maybe the power was cut off? But even stranger was the fact that there were people standing by the door. About 15 people, including 20 of my husbands. They were standing in a line, a neat, almost perfect line that wound around the corner of the building. My first thought they were giving away discounted iPhones. But my brain immediately discarded this nonsense. I took out one earbud. There was silence all around. No one was talking. No one was coughing. They just stood motionless, like mannequins. It unnerved me. Seriously, the atmosphere was thick and heavy, as if the air had suddenly become viscous. I slowed down, trying to make them out. Maybe this was some kind of cult or a flash mob of idiots. But the closer I got, the less I believed it all. I needed to get past them to get to my building. Going around would be a huge detour. I was tired. I wanted to go home, shower and sleep. And I told myself that people were just standing around, maybe waiting for the door to open so they could get over their hangover. It happens. I took a deep breath and walked forward, trying to look straight ahead. But out of the corner of my eye, I noticed they were all dressed the same. Dark gray, baggy hoodies, without any logos, black, slightly worn jeans, and absolutely identical black sneakers of the simplest model, as if they had all been dressed in the same second-hand store, where there was only one set of clothes. Men, women, it didn't matter, everyone was in the same thing. This was just too much. My inner skeptic panicked. My heart sank from my chest to my throat. I walked very close to them along the very edge of the sidewalk, trying not to touch them. The air next to them was icy. Really, I felt goosebumps run across my skin. I forced myself to look up. I needed to see their faces, to understand that these were just people, drunk, weird, crazy, anyone, but people. I looked at the last person. He was a figure about my height, maybe a little taller. The hood of his hoodie was pulled low, but not so low as to hide his face, and I wished I hadn't seen that. He had no face. You might have thought I was talking about a mask, or that his face was in shadow. No, you don't understand. Where there should have been a face, there was smooth stretched skin, with no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Like a mannequin, they forgot to finish. Just a smooth, matte, flesh-colored oval. I stopped and looked at this creature. I looked at the next one, and the same thing with the next. Smooth, empty skin. Everyone, each of these 15 or 20 creatures. They stood silently, motionless, their faceless heads staring at the closed door of the store. They were waiting for something, and I knew I had to be quiet, not attract attention. They weren't noticing me. They were looking at the door. I just had to walk past quietly. Gathering all my willpower, I forced myself to take the first step, then another. I walked slowly. I passed the first one, then the second, the third. I still had about 10 people to go. I held my breath. I counted my steps. Please, just don't turn around. Please, don't notice me. I was already halfway down the line when I heard a sound. It was coming from the first one in line, the one I had already passed. I glanced sideways for a split second and saw it. The first creature, standing right by the doors, turned its head. Its faceless oval was now pointed straight at me. It didn't move, just turned its head. Then the second creature in line did the same, turning its empty head in my direction. And then the third, fourth, fifth. They did it one after another, with this quiet, disgusting sound, as if their necks were made of wet clay. It was a chain reaction of horror. Each of them, the ones I had already passed, turned to look at me, and those standing in front remained motionless. I decided it was time to get out of here. I had never run so fast in my life. My bag was thrashing, my hip, the keys in my pocket jingled. I ran toward my building. I heard these sounds behind me. They kept turning. Finally, I ran into the entrance. For a couple of minutes, I just stood in the darkness. No footsteps, no sounds behind the door. Maybe they stayed there. Maybe they just needed to look. I live on the 4th floor. The windows look out right on the side of the street where the store is. I flew into the apartment without even turning on the light, crept up to the window, and very carefully pulled back the painted curtains. They were standing in the same place, in the same perfect line, but there was one difference. Now every single one of them was facing my house. Their empty faces were directed directly at my entrance. They were no longer looking at the store. I sat on the floor, and sat like that, until dawn. Now it's daytime. Cars are driving outside, people are walking, but when I go to the window and look down, I see them. They haven't left, they're just standing there. It's as if there are more of them, and they're not moving, just looking at my entrance. And I called the police, and told them there were strange people gathered outside the store. They came, looked, and then called me back, and said there was no one there. But I can see them, they're right there. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid that when night falls, they'll move. And I'm afraid they won't just wait outside the store anymore, because I don't think they were waiting for it to open, they were waiting for me.